videos. I've been busy these last couple of days, so I don't know what these chat sessions are about. But
first of all, let me just say,
join. It doesn't hurt to join.
I know it doesn't. And first of all, let me just say, I never,
yes.
I never assume anybody's watched anything. It's like, because I've got so many videos that nobody's watched them all for sure, and
it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot.
So
I am interested in Myers-Briggs, so I've seen some of the Myers-Briggs ones before. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I like to do with oh shoot, I'm not recording the video. Hold on, we got the video on this. One of the things I like to do with people that I just meet like this, know nothing about you, is to do the Mystery Island test or the new test that I have, the Bowling Alley Fiasco test. And if you're down to take it, I'd like to administer it. Tony, you can listen to what her answers are, and then we'll both give you our respective thoughts on what those answers reveal, and each of us will give you our thoughts. I think you are type blah, and he'll go, I think you are type blah. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Sounds interesting. Yeah.
All right. So let's go. Here's the setup. You wake up. You are on a mattress in a room that's unfamiliar to you. You're in pajamas that are unfamiliar to you. As far as you remember, you went to bed last night in your own bed, same as normal. What in the world happened between going to sleep and waking up? You're not sure. You have no idea. You look around. There are 15 other mattresses just like the one that you are on. There are 15 other mattresses just like the one that you are on. Each of them has a person sleeping on it in pajamas that look like the ones you're wearing. They have little teddy bears on them. And so they're all fast asleep. You can tell. You can hear them snoring, making sounds of sleeping. You seem to be the first person who's woken up. You look around. You notice there's a door on one wall, but it appears to have no doorknob on the inside of the door. And you look on another wall. You notice there's a window high up. You won't be able to get up there for sure. But if you could get up there, you could probably look out. And you notice on a third wall, there's some drawers, a bureau with dresser drawers. Now you're going to say, walk me through what you do, your thought process, steps you take one at a time. I'll tell you what happens, then you tell me the next thing that happens. Okay?
Do I have Wi-Fi or a cell phone or something?
You're just in your pajamas. They're not your pajamas.
Okay.
You have nothing else.
Nothing but the pajamas on my back, right?
Correct.
Okay. I would probably check the dresser drawers first. Yeah.
Okay, so you get up. Okay, so wait, hold on. Hold on. So you get up. You go over to the drawers, and you see. Okay, you walk up to it. It's a regular, like a dresser people keep clothes in. You tug on the drawers. They're all locked.
I think by that point I would probably wake someone up because it sounds like the window would be too high up to look out of. So I would probably wake some others up and kind of
now
discuss.
So you look around. You look at the different people. It's still kind of dim light, but you can tell they've got people all different kinds. There's a couple little kids. A couple old people, men, women, all different kinds. Pick who do you wake up?
I would choose somebody middle-aged, male or female, doesn't matter. Okay. Definitely not the kids because they would wake up and start crying. And the elderly people, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know why I wouldn't choose somebody who's elderly. I would probably choose somebody middle-aged.
Okay, so you go up to a gentleman who looks to be about my age maybe, and you push on his shoulder like this. Hey, get up. You go, who are you? Why'd you bring me here? What are you doing to me? That's what he says. What do you say?
I'd be like, listen, buddy, relax. We're wearing the same pajamas. This is kind of a weird situation. We're all locked. I tell him to look around, kind of calmly explain to him what's going on. And if he's still pissed off by that point, then just move on to the next person.
Okay, so he calms down. He's like, well, I don't know what's going on. I'm going back to sleep. And he goes back to sleep. Wake up the next lady, okay? The next lady, she goes, oh, dear, I'm frightened. What should we do?
I wouldn't bother dealing with her. I think I would move on to the next person.
Well, so you move on, but she says, but dearie, and she follows you, and she's pulling on your shirt and saying, what do we do? And now I'm panicked, and you're the only other person awake.
I think I would wake up a third person so that she could latch onto them and I could get away from her, maybe.
Okay,
Hopefully.
so you wake up a third middle-aged person. Hi, my name's Tom.
Or no, sorry. By this
I'm going
can I
back to
change
sleep
my
now.
answer?
Yes, I
I
went back
don't
to
think
sleep.
I would wake up a third middle-aged person. I would wake up a younger kid so that she could latch on to one of the kids. I would tell her, like, take care of that younger kid.
Okay.
I need to go
All
deal
right,
with
so you
this
wake
stuff.
up a 7-year-old.
Uh-huh.
My name's Jenny. What's going on? I have to pee. And then the lady goes like, well, didn't you hear her? She has to pee. What are you going to do? That's what the lady says to you.
I'm gonna be like, sorry, I have bigger priorities right now, and worst that's gonna happen is she's gonna pee her pants.
Okay, fine. I'll take care of the little girl. I'll take care of her. The lady goes away with the little girl, puts the girl back to sleep. She goes back to sleep. Now you're back where you started.
Uh-huh. I think I would go examine the door.
Okay, you go to the door.
There's no doorknob, but I can maybe like use a button from my pajamas to stick it.
Well,
I don't know.
this is what happens. You go to the door, you push on it, you realize, okay, it doesn't push out, but you can tell it probably pulls in. But there's no place for you to grab. The slot underneath the door is too thin to fit your finger under. You can't fit anything in there to pull it. But you suspect if you could pull it at all, if you get any leverage on it, you could just pull it open. It's not locked. It's just you can't. There's nothing to grab onto.
Yeah. I would pull a strand of my hair or a piece of string off of my pajamas or a hair off of somebody else and kind of try to get it between the door and the frame.
Okay, it works. It works. You're out.
Pull out the corner.
It works. You're out
okay.
now. The door opens. You're out into the hallway. Now this is what happens. The rest of the room collapses behind you, killing everybody except for that one little girl who managed to get out and clings to you. I'm terrified now. You've got to help me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're in this hallway. You got a little girl clinging to you, and you look to the left. There's a hallway all the way. You can't see where it ends at. You look to the right. Hallway all the way. You can't see where it ends at. Which way do you go? Right or left?
Probably right.
Okay. You go right. You go down to this hallway, and you see now it branches. It goes straight, and you see a door that leads to the outside. You can see the palm trees, some like sand and shit out there. Or you can go to the left, and you can see just enough in there. You can see it's a science laboratory, but you can't see anything else that's going on.
I would go towards the palm trees. Definitely not the science laboratory.
Okay, so you're out on the beach now. Now the little girl's like, I'm hungry. And you look around, and as far as you can tell, this is the only building on the beach. You look now, and you realize it's sort of like a compound of some sort. And as far as you can tell, you're on a smallish island, and there are no other buildings or anything, or boats or anything that you can get on. What do you do? I'm really, really hungry, and I really, really have to go poo now, too.
You said there's palm trees? Are there coconuts or anything? Or?
Yes, there's some coconuts. But they're too high up for you to reach.
I could climb.
Okay, you climb the tree, you get some coconuts. The girl's like, I don't like coconuts.
I tell her to deal with it. I just be like, sorry, girl, this is all we have, so you're either going to take it or you're going to starve.
Screw you! You can take your goddamn coconut and shut up your ass! Alright, that's the end. That's the end. So,
okay.
there's no normal ending. I get usually about that much time in on it before I go, okay, I think I've got what I'm going to get out of it. All right, so let's start with Tony. Do you want to give me your analysis on her answers?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good amount of information to take in. I think you are a psychopath because 14 people died and you didn't even flinch.
I wouldn't have flinched either.
I guess on a more serious note, I'll come up with my two guesses and then I'll give you explanation why.
Okay.
I think you're an NFJ.
NFJ, okay, interesting.
I think you're an ENFJ or an INFJ, right?
Don't you tell us anything though, okay? Until we all have a chance to give our analysis.
Yeah.
Don't use. Okay. Go ahead.
I won't. Okay.
I'm gonna silence you for now, and that shouldn't be allowed in public, but I'm gonna silence you for now. What's it called? Okay, so you were moderately creative, with the hair and whatnot. So I think ENFJ. I don't know. It wasn't spectacularly creative or anything. I was just moderately creative. You were kind of dealing with people in a somewhat harmonious way. You try to give them a chance to work together. If it got too out of hand, then you'd be like, okay, whatever, deal with it, and you move on to the next solution. So, I don't know, you're pretty level-headed. You're not too wild. I don't know. I don't think I have a good explanation, but I just think ENFJ.
Zach, did you catch enough of that to get some thoughts?
No, I did not, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I'll have to.
Well,
my hat won't be in the political ring.
Okay. Well, in this particular instance, what I heard was a couple of things. One, you chose from the options presented, so you didn't try to disrupt the question. You didn't try to disrupt the whole process. You didn't say, I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to look under the mattress, or I'm going to tear the mattress into pieces and take the springs out of it, or something like that. There's other things you could potentially try to do. And when faced with locked drawers, you chose to examine more possibilities rather than figure out the locked drawer problem, which it suggests that you're not somebody who's getting sucked in by the trees and ignoring the forest. An ENTP might be more likely to get sucked in by the trees and sit there and try to figure out the drawers and forget what they're doing, and I think an ENFP might be more likely to do that too. As far as the dealing with the humans goes, I was struck by one, that you woke them up not to direct them, but to have them, I guess, provide insight. And I don't think you woke them up to direct you either, or you would have woken them up first. So you're looking for information from them, primarily. And then as far as the hair thing goes, I thought that was quite clever. I've never heard anybody come up with that solution. But it's very pragmatic. It would suggest to me, in general, I get a sense of TE from you, extroverted thinking rather than introverted thinking. But I could be wrong on that. I mean, I don't know. I would say you're probably. I was tempted to say for a second ENTJ, but that would imply. Then you would have, if my theory is right, you would have been more directive towards the people. So, I guess perhaps ESTJ? That's my guess. I guess ESTJ. Now, that's all the analysis you have. You have to tell us whether we're right or wrong or whatever.
Okay, can you guys hear me or is it muted?
No, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, well, every test that I've ever taken, except for one, the result was INTJ. The one time I didn't get INTJ was ISTJ, and that was probably the first time that I took the test. I thought it was ISTJ.
I should have fucking said INTJ. I should have said it, but I thought that you don't seem introverted, is why, and that's why I said ENTJ, and then
no, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I should have said no. I'm sorry for interrupting. I should have said INTJ. Go ahead.
I thought you were going to say, after you said ENTJ, I thought you were going to go for INTJ because you said that I was looking for input from other people, so that would be the NI, I'm assuming. I don't know. So I thought you were going to say that, but you went for ESTJ, which
Because I was stuck on the E. I was stuck on the E. I thought INTJ. I was like, nah, she's not introverted. She doesn't seem introverted.
I'm very. I spend like 90% of my time in my room. My family's always like knocking on the door, like, come out and talk to us, and yeah. I was surprised by the F, the INFJ or ENFJ, because I feel like some of my answers were kind of harsh, I think. I don't know, not to me, but they could seem harsh to other people, kind of like with the kid that was crying, rather than comforting them or being a little bit more empathetic, I was just kind of like, deal with it. So I'd be curious to hear about where you were getting that F vibe from. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. That was interesting to me that you said that.
Right. Well, I don't think. Okay, so I have a friend, and you remind me of her, and that's basically my reasoning. So I don't. Okay. I'm not. I suck at typing people, but I like to try anyway. Yeah.
I didn't catch an F.
You got NI Dom, INFJ. We share the same, dominant function and inferior function, so it was not that far off, I guess.
Okay, how many of you guys know an INFJ in real life?
I know one. My best friend.
My first love.
Oh.
They're special people, INFJs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So
deep.
do you guys all know each other's types?
Yes.
Do you know all of our types?
I mean, I know you're ENTP just because it's on your channel, but I don't know the rest of you.
All right, so why don't we do that then? Why don't you try to type these guys? Ask them some questions and see what you determine.
Okay. I'm not really good at coming up with questions on the fly, but
I can ask some questions and you can interpret the answers if you like.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can hear you. All right, so
Okay.
what we're going to do here, Zach, in case you missed this last little bit, is I'm going to ask you guys some questions, and then she's going to give her analysis of your answers. Okay? So, Zachary, imagine you have a problem to solve, which involves getting adequate food from one side of a river to another side of a river, so that both communities are fed while they're rebuilding the bridge. Now, you have a limited supply of food, but there's enough for everybody. However, getting across the river requires you to feed the troll who lives in the middle of the river 10% of the food you're carrying across. What do you do when you're approaching the problem without telling me the solution that you actually employ? How do you go about thinking about the problem?
Well, first I guess the first thing I would have to ask is, if you consider how much food the troll would take, would there be enough food left over to efficiently feed everyone that's going to be working on the bridge?
No. But it's not just the people. It's not the people who are working on the bridge. The people who live on either side of where the bridge used to be. In other words, the west side grows all the food. The west side grows all the food. The east side has all like the town goods. You need to get them their half of the food, so that they're still alive when the bridge is repaired, so you can go buy town goods again.
Okay, so then the question becomes, how can you avoid paying the food tax, so to speak?
Right. If you're traveling across the river without any food, the troll requires nothing of you. He knows if you have food.
Do you want me to vocalize my thought process with this?
Yeah.
Or?
And then, Tony, you could vocalize Tony, why don't you vocalize yours first? As you're I can see you thinking about it right now, so think it through for us.
I just have like unrealistic ideas. I would just be like, okay, I gather all the villagers that I can. It's always funny when Eric goes off camera because he's doing his business. But anyway, I mean, the idea that I came up with was that I gathered all the villagers that I can. We cross a bridge without any food, right? And the troll's like, okay, they don't have any food, I won't bother them. But then we just fucking kill the troll. Oh wait, no, that's right? Is that probably? Well, let's just kill the troll because it's non-human, right? I don't know. Does the troll have to keep feelings?
It's a perfectly viable plan. There's nothing wrong with that plan. Yeah. Now, look, you may have moral objections to it, but it would certainly be a plan that one ought to consider. It seemed to me. It's not something that even crossed my mind when I came up with the question either.
Yeah, and we might just maybe not kill the troll. Maybe we'll cut off its arm, see if its meat is edible, and use that as food too.
So you're not going to kill the troll? You're going to chop off its arm and feed it its own arm as its food tax? That's much worse than killing it, I think, frankly.
No. We're not going to do that. We're going to use it as an option to keep in mind, right? So that's one option. I think
okay, you go across the river on your own, you bring it back to villagers from the other side, and they come across anytime they need to eat. Anytime they need to eat, they come across and they leave, so you don't have any food.
Zach fucking solved that shit. I didn't even know it had an answer. I don't know. I just made up the question, right?
It just fucking hit me.
You solved that shit, dude. Good job. All right, well, there's some data for you. Do you want to do some analysis from that?
Okay, I know I'm probably going to be far off, but I think I was paying attention more to mannerisms. Maybe that's not the best technique than the actual answers themselves. and I think Eric probably has extroverted feelings somewhere in his
Who, me?
stack. No, sorry, not Eric.
Zachary? Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, yes, Tony. Sorry.
The name tag right there.
Yeah, it says host ... and then I can't see because I'm using my phone.
Oh, you're using
It
the
doesn't
phone.
show
Yeah.
the full name.
Oh.
But Eric is right there. I can see that. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, sorry, Tony. I think you have extroverted feelings somewhere in your stack. Just because you're much more like emotionally expressive, I think. And when you were talking about INFJs, I think it was, I don't know if it was you, but you said my first love.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. I'm pigeonholing, but you have to with such little information.
No, I'll respond to that immediately.
Okay.
I have a very strong FE. I have a very strong FE. The question is whether it's conscious or not, whether I value it or not.
Okay.
He's FI for sure. But the thing is, it's really hard sometimes because it's about the arguments they make more than it is, I think, about the expressiveness. It's weird. Okay, continue. Yeah. Sorry for the interruption.
Right. Yeah. The reason why I said I have strong FE is just because there's another theory saying that you
use all 8.
You use all 8, and your 6 function is the very strong one.
Okay.
So that's why. Okay,
I think that theory is true, by the way. But continue, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So if you're an FI user, that narrows things down a lot. I don't know. I think I'll come back to you. I have to think about that for a little bit. Is it Zachary? Is that your full name?
Yes, Zachary, yeah.
Okay, I think you're definitely introverted and a T type. I would say...
Good person, rather.
Yes. I think I'm going to go with INTP for you. I know I'm probably going to get them wrong. I'm going to go with INTP. Right. Is it? Oh, sweet. Awesome. My brother's INTP. I'm going to go with INTP for you. And Tony, I think I'm going to say ENFP.
Right.
No?
Boom.
Is it?
Nailed it.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome. I thought I was going to be wrong.
Ah, you got it.
I'll be honest, I wasn't really paying attention too much to what you guys were saying. I was focusing more on mannerisms and just how you guys have been this entire call.
Okay, I'll respond to that. Because you did what you just did, you are an ISTJ, I predict, more than an INTJ. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's possible. Yeah.
No, it's very likely because ISTJs, they pay a lot of attention to facial gestures, mannerisms,
But look, it's
more than an INTJ.
All the ones who have feelings really distant from them do that. With the introverted feelers who have introverted feeling low in the stack, ESTJ, ISTJ, ENTJ, ENTJ, and INTJ, they all do that. They all do that thing where they're like, just super distant from their feelings, I think.
And don't you think the fact that I'm doing that because I'm talking to you guys and I'm seeing you on my phone screen, I think in person I would be less inclined to be like looking at a screen and looking at your facial expressions. Like normally when I'm talking to somebody, I'm more like looking around and.
Well, to me, the fact that you are attending to facial expressions consciously suggests to me that you're definitely not FE, because I don't do that. I read those facial expressions without thinking about. I think about the arguments you're making, but I'll just intuit the body language. I don't actually think about it. I think that's the difference between that's how when I talked to Mega Bro, who's my archetypal INTJ, and he talks about INTJs being varying levels of practiced with emotional expression. Well, I don't think any of the three of us are practiced in it because it's in our conscious stack. Zachary, it's his like weak spot, so he's super cautious and cool and careful all the time. And for me, I obviously express naturally because it's in my third slot and it's my motivational function. So it's important to me that I manage other people's emotions. For him, if it's in his sixth slot, it's not conscious, but just like I have good TE. I hate bossy people. I hate authority and bossiness. But when I'm not thinking about it and I'm at work, I'm a complete dick boss, you know? I'm just like a bossy ass guy who's bossing people around all the time. And it says, in sociology, it says, you'll feel accomplished when you achieve things with your sixth function, even though consciously you don't like it. It's exactly the case for me. When the ship's running tight and everybody's where they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing because I've yelled at them enough, I feel accomplished. And then when I catch myself being too TE, I go, oh, that's ugly. I'm not an authority figure. But,
so what's my six? Would my six be NI?
Your six would be... No, your six would be... Yeah, your six would be NI, right.
So how exactly does that manifest again? How would that manifest?
What just happened?
Oh, it just kind of like hitting me out of nowhere?
That's NI, dude. Right there. Or you just totally fucking solved that problem? You sat there with it? You didn't verbalize it out like I would have if I had gotten there, or I probably wouldn't have, because I would have gotten sidetracked with other things. I don't know. I don't know how I would have responded to it. I didn't have any answer when I came up with the question. I didn't know it had an answer. It wasn't supposed to have an answer, right? It was supposed to be something you have to think hard about, so that you reveal how you think. You're not supposed to solve it.
Couldn't that be attributed to introverted thinking, though?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that was by introverted thinking. But then again, I wasn't... Okay, what happened in that... Now in retrospect, the mental process I had, when you switched to Tony, I kind of like withdrew, and I didn't listen to anything Tony had to say. I'm sorry. And I was just like... It was just like visualizing the situation and like thinking about it, and then I re-entered out and it hit me. And then that's... So, yeah,
and you said visualizing the situation. NI uses visualization much more frequently. According to Baker Bro, there are some auditory NIers. And I have to agree with that because my friend Corey is INFJ. He's the most genius musical person I've ever encountered. And he is NI about music. But in general, I'd say NI visual, NE auditory. And that's why NI coalesces things. It visualizes all the different parts, and then everything sort of I see how it all fits together. And I have it occasionally too. I mean, we all have these things available to us. It's just we don't attend to them with conscious attention and a prioritization of the value of them over other things.
And so I guess my repression of NI would be, or that would manifest in a sense of like, I wouldn't like drawing conclusions without knowing how I got there.
Boom. Did you feel accomplishment when you nailed that answer?
I still feel happy. I'm like, damn.
Because you just achieved in your sixth function, right? Like a sociologic says.
That's cool, man. That's cool. That was cool.
How many of these calls have you guys done before?
Well,
me and Nick have done a lot.
Yeah, I've done quite a few with Zachary. Overall, like the first 30 or so episodes of Talking with Famous People, I was trying to do just an interview show. So my very first 30 or so episodes, or 25 maybe, I don't know, are just interviews with me interviewing somebody. But it's not personality type.
Yeah.
And it's audio only. And it's the visuals are just like pictures of the person I'm interviewing, like from their Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I ask them things like, what are your values and what are your core values? And I ask them about like how they come to believe what they believe about life and stuff like that. Some of them are I think some of them are good. There's those. And then more recently, as I've been doing these, I've had maybe, I don't know how many, but there's been a number of different guests. Now, you are, by the way, famous person Widad. Is that how you say your name? Widad?
Yeah, Widad, yeah.
Widad. You're a famous person,
Yeah.
Widad. You've officially earned that title. There are only, I'd say, less than 100 total famous people in the world.
Okay, cool.
Because if you haven't been on this show, the highest level you can attain is well-known celebrity.
Yeah.
Okay?
And is that's you have to hit a certain number of episodes, or how does that work?
No, you become a famous person as soon as you're on the show.
Yeah.
But
to become a well-known celebrity.
Okay, that's a separate issue. Like, if you want to be a well-known celebrity, if you want to aim low like that, fine. Go ahead and aim low. Be a famous movie star or something. Be a well-known movie star. You'll still not be a famous person unless you're on my show, because that's the naming protocols.
Okay. So I'm assuming with 3 extroverted intuition users here, pretty high up in the stack, you guys just kind of wing it and go with whatever topic usually comes up.
I'm very okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried something different today, but most of the time that's how I do life.
Yeah, and for some pretty interesting discussions, usually come up that way.
Yeah, this is my second episode. But actually, to bring it back to you, Dad. So do we have a better idea, guys, if she's an ISTJ, an INTJ, or something else?
Let's see if we can distinguish.
Yeah.
If I were to tell you right now to close your eyes and only hear the background sounds around you, all the sounds around you, and think as few words as possible. Could you attempt that for 15, 20 seconds? We'll be quiet.
As few words, did you say as few words as possible?
Think as few words as possible for the next 15 or 20 seconds with your eyes closed, just trying to listen to the background sound, all the sounds of the room and stuff, right? Just trying to listen to those sounds, okay? Do that for 15 or 20 seconds, and I'm going to ask you about it.
Okay.
Okay. So,
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to as well, because I saw Tony do it, and I was like, fuck, am I supposed to? Oh, fuck, too late now.
There's no supposed to. So, tell me, Tony, you pulled out of it faster. I could see NE getting you impatient with that, like in 3 seconds. You're like, fuck this. Eyes closed up. What am I doing here? I don't like this at all.
More of an FE thing. Just him making sure everyone else is, like, on par with it. I thought because he was checking. Right, he was checking to see because he
can't even get 3 seconds into the process before he's already starting to think about whether you should check it. How was your experience, Widad? Did you feel a lot of words anyway?
Yeah, kind of. At first I was trying to stop myself from laughing because I felt like it was a little bit of an awkward situation, and then I tried to kind of anchor myself and hear what I was hearing, and I'm sitting very close to a window, so I could hear some outdoor noises. I heard my sister-in-law in the next room, and was thinking about how she's pregnant, and then I can't remember what my other. Oh, thank you. Can't remember what the other thoughts I had were, but yeah.
Okay, so that's a way to experience what it's like to experience SE in its purest form, right? Where all of your attention is literally on the stuff the environment is shooting at you, whether it's pictures or sounds or smells or whatever else. And for people who are Ns, this is a struggle. And for people who are S's, an S would have spent more time describing what he heard or she heard, right? Rather than saying, like, when you heard some sound of your sister in the next room, you didn't hear sounds probably that had anything to do with her pregnancy.
Yeah.
I would guess, unless you heard the baby kicking through the wall, you
know.
Or water breaking,
Yeah. If you heard that, then fine. Okay, that's an S response.
Just carry on casually talking to you guys, no problem.
And then I heard the water breaking, and so I remembered, yes, she's pregnant. Oh, but you didn't hear something like that. You heard sounds of her, and you immediately abstracted away from the immediate natural environment around you, into the meaning you have about the things that the environment is telling you exist.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say that's a more N response to it than an S response to it. But everybody now, even the most S people, are not accustomed to that kind of S. We're not hunters out in the wild, walking around the jungle listening for a bird to kill.
Yeah.
So S's don't do that either.
I mean, I don't know. I know there are a lot of different branches when it comes to like personality types and theories and stuff like that. But I feel like I can relate a lot to the articles that I've read on Personality Junkie, where they talk about how being in the grip of your inferior function. And for me, that would be extroverted sensing. And I definitely relate a lot to that. Like, I hear INFJs and INTJs talking a lot about how when they're super stressed, they will do things to take them out of their mind and kind of focus on their immediate surroundings, or like, I'll, for example, if I'm stressed for an exam, I know this is kind of like a typical thing to do, but I will like overeat or binge. Or I've heard INTJs saying that
You're an INTJ.
Yeah, so that's what kind of makes me feel sure in my INTJ-ness is when I'm in the grip of my inferior function, I behave in that way. Obviously, there are times when I doubt it and I feel like maybe it's all a lie and I need to do a little more research. But for the most part, I feel like it's pretty accurate. I'm not sure though. Yeah, and I've tried meditation and like the guided ones. I downloaded Headspace, which is a great app if you're into that thing. And they kind of tell you like focus on your surroundings and feel the contact that your body has with the ground or the chair. And like the whole time, I'm just like I'll focus for a split second, and then my mind will go somewhere else. I don't know if that's negative effects of too much internet use and short attention span that everybody has these days, or if that's
It's kind of like
NI.
meditation is kind of like a skill that has to be developed. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you know how like for example, if someone starts doing push-ups a lot, eventually they get the ability to flex their, like right here, their pecs or whatever, right? And they don't know how they got it. It just kind of happened. Well, if you meditate a lot, you eventually get to a point where you can disengage from your thought processes like that. Just it's a skill that's developed, and that's why when you first start off meditating, it's very difficult to do that. But I would recommend, just my personal opinion, I would recommend not using any type of guided meditation and to just do the fourfold breath. Are you familiar with that at all?
No, I'm just like dabbling, just started, so I'm not too familiar with all that stuff. But I'm definitely gonna do my research. Yeah. What did you call it for what?
It's the fourfold breath, and basically you breathe in for 4 seconds, and then you hold it for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 seconds.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And you do that, and while you're doing this, you restrict your thought process, basically. It's very difficult. Very difficult.
So this would be, I think, considered a concentration meditation, or
yes.
shamatha meditation, if I'm not mistaken. It's everyone's talking about mindfulness, but even before mindfulness, if you can't even focus on a task, such as the thing that's always there, it's your breath, then I think concentration meditation is a good foundation. So fourfold breath. If you want to have like training wheels, you can even count more often, so that there's less space for you to get distracted. Yeah, it's interesting that I think intuitives need meditation more naturally compared to our sensor counterparts, or our sensor brothers and sisters.
I'd like to chime in on this meditation thing. And I personally have done meditation back a long time ago. There was a Zen place where you could sit Zen meditation in Santa Cruz, where I went to college. And I spent a good part of a year sitting there almost every morning, where you had to sit there for like 40 minutes to have these little chimes. It was torture. For some reason, I kept going back. I don't know why. But, I mean, the thing is, I didn't know why. And I still don't know why I was able to keep going back. But in retrospect, I realize it made me it improved me in subtle but definite ways, So, but
yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think what I do now, which is sort of equivalent, is do freestyle songs. And it's what the reason I thought it was equivalent to what you said about it being a thing that you have to develop over time, regardless of your cognitive stack. Because even though the best type to do make it up on the fly stuff like that in general, probably, or ENFP maybe, but you know, I think of any as being the most improvisational of functions. Regardless of that, I was very bad at it and was unable to successfully do it at all for a long time. You gradually build up over time. Is you get little, at first maybe you pull off 5 good seconds, and then maybe 10 good seconds, and eventually you get it so some of the time you nail it and it sounds like you wrote a song, and it's like a complete song. Some of the time, but there's still lots of failures. And then you just upload the ones that work. You don't upload the failures. Yeah,
that's pretty much all I do with music. I haven't structured one fucking song. It's a lot easier to improvise. Well, it's difficult to improvise, but it's a lot more. I feel more comfortable that way.
Well, freestyling is a little different than improvising. Freestyling means I'm gonna sit down now. I'm gonna make a complete song from beginning to end, with words, chords, and melody. Real time. That's different than just improvising. Yeah. It's a failure. It's a thing with a very, very high failure rate if that's your goal. And I try to, if I have to edit it at all, I think it's not really a true freestyle. It should be one take, start to finish. Boom, comes out like golden. But that sort of thing is not. You can't just say, "Well, I have this is my cognitive stack, so it's just going to happen naturally for me." It doesn't matter how naturally aligned you are to it. It's something you just got to practice, or you're not going to get that good at it.
Yeah, it's skill, and with like all skills, it does take practice and good practice, intentional learning. Right. I like the topic of skill acquisition and how it's different for every cognitive stack. Yeah, so...
Anybody else have thoughts on that too? What are your thoughts initially, Tony, and let's hear your other guys' thoughts on skills acquisition and, basically developing new knowledge bases, how you go about it, how other types you think might go about it, and what we prioritize in doing that sort of thing. Tony first.
I just want to say 2 cents for my 2 cents. I had this one idea of I was using my NE to brainstorm of ideas on how to really refine my NE so that it's more productive, right? But that was just like a really rough idea, like a little sketch that I'm doing. And then another observation that I like about INTPs, especially with their TI, I think as long as they have good information, good instructions, they could learn any skill with the practice, right? Well, I think INTP. I went to a meetup yesterday, like an intuitive meetup. So I met a lot of INTJs and INTPs and intuitive dominant types of people, and I met a lot of really brilliant INTJs and INTPs who, like 6 months ago or 2 months ago or half a year ago, like 3 years ago, they were terrible at public speaking. They were terrible with anxiety, with all these things that came with. They had a lot of problems, but then they got over it so quickly because as long as they went to a good workshop and had good information and they practiced it, the growth was exponential, right? As opposed to, it was just really interesting to see these types learn very quickly.
Widad?
Yeah,
you got
it's
hold on, let's go in order. Widad, you got any thoughts?
Yeah. I was thinking that I think there are like certain universal things that kind of go beyond Myers-Briggs, which I think we would all agree on, that like practice makes perfect and those kinds of things. So I think with any type, I would just kind of, when it comes to skill acquisition, just kind of go with whatever feels most natural to you. Just because I feel like with myself, if I want to pick up a new skill, I wouldn't think to go, okay, well, first I use introverted intuition, so let me kind of figure out a way that would make life easier for me, because it becomes a little bit too conceptual like that. And I mean, I guess I think I could if I'm talking about something like sports or, if I'm not that good with my coordination or something like that, something that an S type might be a little bit more naturally endowed in, I could take the route of like studying that sport until I'm like super familiar with it. Um, but with stuff like this, I just feel like just forget about MBTI and put in all the work and practice that it would take to, reach a level where you're at least competent or, slightly skilled at it, and then just keep working from there. Yeah, I would just go with whatever is most natural. I don't think I would take like an approach where I consider my cognitive functions or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay, so before I hear from Zach, let me just sort of distinguish between what we just heard, which is Tony gave an answer that suggested that he sort of described the status quo, I guess, primarily. Widad, you gave an answer that said what one ought to do in regard to metacognating about one's functions in regards to, um, you know, how to learn new stuff. Now, the actual topic, as I understood it was descriptive. It was neither predictive, which I guess is sort of what Tony's was, nor was it normative, which is what yours was, Vidad. You shouldn't do. It was how do they actually manifest? So the one thing about types and cognitive functions in general is it takes a lot of metacognition even to be aware enough of them that you can be conscious about them like that. And for most people, they aren't engaged in that sort of metacognition at all. So it's not a choice; it's something they're doing unavoidably. Zachary, any thoughts?
I just wanted to say I thought it was interesting that Tony noted that the NT types had a lot of trouble with anxiety and social skills and whatnot, because I feel like that is something with our society being dominated mostly by sensors. That is something that is never made apparent to a lot of us when we're younger. Is that social skills and interacting with others is a skill to be developed, and I feel like that's an obstacle teens have to overcome as they uh, adapt to their environments and whatnot. It's something I had to overcome. My social skills were pretty garbage when I was younger, and to an extent, they're still being, developed. But I thought that was a really interesting observation, and I agree completely with that.
Well, I would mention that we should we should we should. I like to. Here's an idea that just came to my head that has no additional words associated with it. Um, people,
I'm down for that.
right? People when they are dealing with this learning thing, then they're necessarily going to um, they're going to learn as they learn, so to speak. But about the social thing, like, okay, well, if you're talking about social skills being something that you practice and develop, that means it has to be something you choose to prioritize. And so, when you're consciously prioritizing things, whether you're meta-consciously prioritizing them or not, then that means they're probably in your stack. So, for you to talk about it being a valued skill to practice, FE, then you're talking about saying, yeah, this value is in my stack. It takes a lot of practice because it's in your fourth slot. So you're displaying the values you prioritize by way of your stack by saying as examples, like, the thing to prioritize. So what do you think ought to be prioritized as skills to be developed, Tony?
Well, I think I'm not sure if it's a priority, but I think it's a fundamental step is to, especially with the NTs or, yeah, I think especially INTJs, I think, or NTs in general. So if you, one of the fundamental steps is to be aware that you are different right? If you understand the Myers-Briggs framework, then you can understand. Okay, maybe this is why I am not as gifted with social skills as.
Okay, so are you saying then that two things? I just heard you answer the question by saying metacognition should be prioritized and social skills. Is that what you're saying?
No, I was saying just forgiving yourself, allowing yourself to be for being less competent in social skills naturally, knowing that you have other natural strengths, and then you don't hate yourself for having these weaknesses, and then from there you can just work on that social skills.
But what I'm saying is, I want a general answer that's not specific to INTJ or anybody else. Like, if you were to say, for any random person, here's a random person, I've got them in a box right now. You can't see what they are, who they are, anything about them. You can't talk to them or anything. What skills should this person prioritize?
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll actually answer your question. Fine. I don't know.
Widad, what do you think?
I don't think I would have. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'm.
Well, look, I'm the dictator.
Can I answer for Tony and see if he agrees?
Okay, but first let me set up the scenarios to stop you guys from squirreling out of it. All right. There's a dictator. He's standing there with a gun, and he says, "Now look, I intend to spend the next. I'm punishing him for a crime. He has spoken ill of my glorious regime, and his punishment for this crime is going to be he has to develop a skill for the next 10 years. And you have two choices. You either tell me which skill that is that he develops, or I kill him because he has no skill to develop. Now, what skill do you want this guy to develop?
Well, I think mine's already implied, right? We already know what I said, yes. So
what did you say
from this?
What did you say? No, I want to hear what you say.
Social skills.
No matter who. So you say with a random person, not knowing who it is, could be socially gets along with everyone. It could be that lady. You still say no. Well, yeah. No matter who it is, prioritize social skills, of course.
Okay, I don't know about that now. Never.
Tony?
Breathing skills, because everyone's got to breathe.
But that's a fine enough answer. What's going to end up happening at the end of this 10 years? This person is going to have an enormous lung capacity. They're going to spend 10 years practicing breathing. Maybe will hold their breath for like 15 minutes. Okay, fine. That's a skill you got after it. Okay, without what skill do they have to practice for 10 years?
I was going to tell him to work on his kind of like obedience, just because I was thinking of the dictator, and that would probably be an answer that pleases him. But if we're talking in general, I think I would say
I like that selfish answer.
Knowledge. Just because people
what kind of knowledge? Wait, what kind of knowledge?
Just increasing knowledge in general.
Too broad.
So, because I feel like anybody who is well educated and well rounded in a lot of topics, well rounded intellectually, will be open to being kind of like a more well rounded person in general.
Okay, so the dictator, though, that you know now, you realize the dictator's informed you that his interpretation of that is to get this guy to be the world's hugest expert on all the different variants on Real Housewives of. That's how he's interpreted your too broad instructions. So congratulations, you've doomed this guy to 10 years of Real Housewives. Thanks a lot, Widad.
Well, listen, I don't think there's any correct answer, because you could. I mean, any answer that you get could end up. Okay, let's hear Zachary.
He needs to work on being more elusive, so he doesn't get captured by dictators.
There you go.
That's a good answer. I would say he needs to work on the one skill, and I didn't come up with the answer until partway through listening to you guys, but one skill I think would generalize almost for sure is objective self-criticism. You could say that's useful to develop in anybody.
I
agree.
And it's one skill that will help all the other little things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, are you still there? Oh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna refresh. I'm gonna leave the room and come back because my something went wrong here.
Word. No
I
problems.
need to go take a piss to get some tea. So
All right, well, let's
I
stop
will-
this video. This will be the end of this one. Don't go anywhere for a second. Let me chat with you for another minute or two at least. But let me just stop the video.
Okay.
This recording will be over, and this will be video number 1. It's going to upload it in one big chunk.
Okay.
Okay, push stop here. Piao
and I will return shortly.
and Piao.
Talking, talking.